Welcome to the Nightly Rant. I'm Mike.
And I'm Torya.
This is the show where we talk about the awful things that have happened in our day, the awesome things that have happened in our day,
and all the things in between.
Thanks for listening, and we truly hope you enjoy. So let's talk about our Lyft driver today, since I think we've had to talk about Lyft like 100 times in the past week.
We talk about Lyft more than we talk about anything else lately.
Well, it's because it's what we've needed to use. So, like yesterday I mentioned that the car was in the shop all day.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
stupid car.
We got to go back there at noon today and pick that sucker up.
Yay!
And we had to call a Lyft to go there. And guy shows up. As soon as I get in the car, I smell marijuana.
It's always a good sign, right?
But of course, with all the legalized stuff, both in Vegas and here, I've been smelling it a lot more, so I didn't think much of it. Then the guy's driving us, and thankfully he went surface streets the whole way. But anyway, he's driving us. And it just keeps getting stronger and stronger. And clearly it's not like out on the street. It's either that dude had a giant chunk of marijuana in his car, or he had been smoking marijuana. Because it was something.
Ugh, it was awful. And then he ran a stop sign.
Yeah, he ran a stop sign. No consideration for anyone else. The one thing I find really interesting, I don't object to this, but I find it really interesting. When I went to the whole orientation for Lyft, they made a big deal about not playing music when you have a passenger in the car.
Okay.
And yet, every Lyft we've been in the past 5 days has had music playing.
Guess people don't listen.
It's interesting. Because, I can understand why they wouldn't want you to have music on. It makes sense.
Well, yeah, because everybody listens to their own brand.
Well, or like that situation when the car died and you had to, we tried to call Deborah, but she wasn't able to get there in time.
Every second word was nigger or fuck.
Yeah, exactly. And you had Alyssa in the car. Wow.
That was classy. I like that a lot.
And that's why they do that. They do it to avoid any kind of issue where you're offended by...
Yeah. But you know what? I think intelligent Lyft drivers will just make sure they put on tasteful music, or, just the normal radio where they can't say shit like that in the first place, and then it's fine.
Well, I used to listen to podcasts when I was waiting. Mm-hmm. Then as soon as someone got in the car, I turned it off.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but it brought up a point, if you drive under the influence of alcohol, they can arrest you based off of, indicators from a sobriety test. Mm-hmm. And they can also do the same if you're driving under the influence of marijuana. They can give you a sobriety test. If you look like you're impaired, they can take you in. But here's where it gets different. And I wonder how this works. And I'm admitting right now, I don't know how it works. But if you're driving under the influence of alcohol, they'll arrest you and bring you in, and then you have to agree to one of, two types of tests. Well, alcohol only shows up in those tests if it's active in your system, however much percentage of alcohol, blood alcohol level, it shows up. Marijuana, on the other hand...
It's all about the concentration level.
How do they figure that out?
Because you can see what level it is in the urine. And the hair follicle tests are more accurate.
Okay, so... How long does a result like that take to come back?
The urine test? You can get an express test in less than 5 minutes.
Okay. And it will tell you that the concentration was high enough that they had to have recently ingested it.
I'm guessing there's some kind of scale. When I did the drug screens, it was any marijuana and you were screwed.
Interesting.
But I never got to do the incident drug screens because they were more serious and somebody, that actually was employed by the company who always did them. But they had a scale.
Well, sure, it would have to be just like blood alcohol level. You're considered intoxicated if... Yeah, that makes sense.
But then what they did is they had the express test on the job site. And if you failed it, or passed it even, on the job site, they still had to send it away for lab testing, which took like a week to get like a verified result because the express ones aren't accurate. But it would be enough to suspend the employee for a week.
What I was wondering, because obviously you get almost immediate results with blood alcohol. So I wondered but I also wondered how they would know how recently you had done it. I didn't realize. But I would also imagine, but see, I have these thoughts, but then I realize it doesn't matter either way, because it's not like it's it's kind of an arbitrary number that they pick, because let's face it, like 0.08, I could be at 0.08.
Yeah.
And as a big guy, I am probably obliterated. Like, I definitely shouldn't be driving. But
some people can have one drink in their 0.08.
But yeah, exactly.
They probably took the average person and made the number based on the average person.
Yeah, but then what I started to think about was, well, okay, so if they use the marijuana stuff based on concentration, then you can just say, well, I had an edible, which, stays in my system longer. But it doesn't matter, because they're still saying if you have that much concentration, you are driving under the influence. It's not about how long ago you did it. It's about you're over the legal limit of whatever the concentration numbers are. Therefore, you're considered intoxicated.
And it really sucks to be you if you smoked a lot the day before, because I would guess your numbers are going to be much higher. But
well, that's the thing that I wonder about. Like,
I guess,
how long do the effects last to the point where you're impacted by it?
I guess that's something you'd have to ask a police officer, What's the sobriety test for marijuana? Because they would be able to give you a more accurate answer. Keep in mind, any hypothesis I could
send it into Live PD, too.
You could. Anything that I say is based on 6 years ago doing pre-employment drug screening.
It could be the same, or it could be way more advanced. We don't know.
Right. So
it's just intriguing.
And in a different country.
Well, but it's just intriguing to me, because it's definitely something that they're going to have to be dealing with now.
Well, what I was curious about is, okay, so alcohol is 0.08 or 0.04 if you're a Lyft or Uber driver.
Right.
What is there a legal limit for marijuana? Are you allowed to have, the people who microdose? Are they doing that and legally allowed to drive because they're not taking a certain amount?
Well, yeah, there would have to, like we just talked about, it would have to be related to the concentration in your system, and at that point, you're considered intoxicated. Because they have arrested people for driving under the influence of marijuana.
Right.
And they've also let people go who they found have marijuana in their system. So it has to be based on a concentration, just like blood alcohol level is a percentage. This has to be some kind of a percentage.
I know that marijuana stays in your system for an average of 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So it would have to be a pretty specific scale.
It would have to be based 100% on concentration.
Yep.
Because if I remember correctly, it goes up, and then as the high subsides, the concentration decreases a little bit, and then over the next few hours, as it wears off, the concentration decreases and decreases and decreases and decreases and decreases. Much the same as alcohol. Your body metabolizes it.
I want to know if you can find that information online.
I wonder. Yeah. It's interesting, though, because the concept for me is it's just more for the police to deal with now.
Yeah.
And that that Lyft driver really brought it to my attention.
Well, that was kind of terrifying. That was alarming.
Well, and the only time that I sort of thought, well, okay, he probably smoked it, and that's why it was when he missed the stop sign. But by then he was 3 blocks away from our destination. Had that happened at the very beginning, we would have been telling him to pull over and letting us out.
Yeah.
What did you find? I see you're reading
an article. Says, this is from a law office of some guy that gets
Yeah.
you out of your things.
Yeah.
It says, in California, if an officer has probable cause to believe that you were driving under the influence of marijuana or any other drug, you have already given your consent to provide a blood, breath, or urine test. The urine test is not common, but if officers are unable to administer a blood or breath test, you're required to take a urine test. For marijuana, using blood, breath, or urine tests to determine whether a person is under the influence of THC at the time they were driving is a flawed system, as blood and urine tests are unable to determine whether the marijuana was consumed within the last few hours, while breath testing technology does not have the ability to detect marijuana as of now. So, then it says that police officers in Los Angeles are now testing using drug swabs at DUI checkpoints.
Saliva swabs.
The test is roughly 8 minutes long and uses a person's saliva to detect THC, crystal meth, methadone, cocaine, and several other prescription medications. While there are conflicting reports as to the accuracy of the tests work by detecting a trace amount of drugs in California drivers' saliva. That makes sense, because it would stay in your mouth the longest. Or the most recently, it would be in your mouth. And then it goes into how this dude's going to get you out of your tickets and DUI.
But doesn't tell you what the legal limit is?
Mm-mm.
That's interesting. This is going to be like so many nanograms, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to ask somebody that question.
Yeah, it goes on to say that it leaves plenty of room for doubt in court. Nearly impossible to prove without a shadow of a doubt in a courtroom that the person was under the influence of marijuana solely based on a saliva drug swab.
See, so I'm right. It's a difficult thing for them to enforce.
Yep.
Doesn't really surprise me. What are you looking up now?
I'm trying to find if there's a legal limit.
Oh, you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But so, tell me about your finally getting that lady to move in.
She doesn't move in until tomorrow.
Has she been driving you crazy today?
No, I sent her one text message to tell her the maintenance guy was coming tomorrow to install her new lock. And she didn't. All she said was thanks.
Oh, that's good.
I'm shocked.
Did you see Bill put the old deadbolt back on?
Yeah. I don't blame him. Take his deadbolt with him.
I've actually considered getting one of those deadbolts.
Yeah, that was cool how it the code lock.
Yeah. Punch a code in and it unlocks.
Handy dandy.
It could come in handy.
Mm-hmm.
It really could.
Well, especially if you're the type of person who forgets their keys a lot, which I tend to be.
Well, yeah, and what you would have to do is just be in the habit of only locking the deadbolt and not the door handle.
Right. Right.
Or like if you're not done, you're gonna get something.
Yeah. Well, you have keys.
Yeah.
That he hasn't seen in 2 years.
Ridiculous.
It gives the legal limits for alcohol in this article, but it just says under the influence of marijuana, so maybe it's any.
Well, as well it should be.
I don't disagree. I think that Lyft driver is in for a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, because they'll probably drug test him now.
Yep.
To determine, did he or didn't he.
Right.
Because he'll initially try to lie and say, someone who came before them smelled like marijuana.
Yeah, okay, that's why you had 12 air fresheners, buddy.
Yeah. Parker says he agrees with you.
Parker looks like he's stoned right now. He's got, squinty eyes, and he's just, staring off into space.
Parker, did you have catnip?
And then he gets ultra paranoid when Mitchell moves.
What's the matter, Porks? He's funny. Our cats are nuts.
Oh my gosh, he doesn't like catnip. Doesn't really do anything. Just sniffs it and then he goes to sleep.
No, after a while, I remember he went crazy.
When you guys were on your way home, the
Yeah.
she-cats were galloping.
That's what you said, yeah.
Like, zoom, zoom, zoom. It sounded like a herd of elephants, and then claws and jingles and
That's
elephants.
pretty girl.
Hi, pretty girl. You know, for being a hefty beast, she can sneak up on you when she's not running.
Yeah.
That's all he's talking.
Stop fat shaming the cat, though.
She's a good girl.
Yeah, she is.
It makes me so happy that she's a chunky one, though.
Considering
She was, like, emaciated when she moved into
for
the
most
house.
of her life.
Yeah. She deserves to be fat.
So, we've been watching that Millionaire Matchmaker.
Yeah.
And what the hell's wrong with these guys?
They've been handed everything to them in their entire life, and they don't know how to be civilized human beings anymore.
Maybe, but I just can't believe that they need to be on a show and have some lady find them a date.
Well, I would think that as a millionaire, it would be hard to online date because people know who you are. Like that dude who was in Vegas and the chick knew him. He didn't know her.
Well, yeah, but half of these people are nobody.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you really a nobody if you were worth millions of dollars? Some people.
Well,
would
her
know
only
you.
requirement is that they be worth $1 million.
I know he used his teeth. I don't know. I would think a quick Google search, you know, like everybody should do for their online dates, would reveal to you that this person's a millionaire.
Well, perhaps, but the point is, even then, the majority of them mess up the date.
I know. It's ridiculous.
They're
I mean,
handed the date on a silver platter.
a chick who's interested in them meets all of their requirements. They got to pick out of a herd, and then they take her trash picking up. What? Or
Yeah.
They take her to serve food at a mission on their first date. What?
Yeah, weird stuff.
I'm sorry, but if I've gone through all the effort to be one of those women, because you know clearly they spent like 6 hours getting ready,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to go pick up freaking trash.
No. For sure not.
Just
For sure
not in the mood for that. Heck, I'd be pissed if one of our dates was going to pick up trash.
Oh, damn. And that's what I was thinking about doing next weekend.
Well, think again.
All right. Instead, we'll go feed homeless dogs.
Oh, I like dogs. Like the Oak Dog.
Are you a yog dog, yog dog?
Mm-hmm.
He's a good boy, too. This is the first podcast in a while that he's hung out with us. He usually pieces out when we do it. Or he kind of sleeps over there.
Well, he missed you. You were gone for a while.
So tonight he's hanging out with the daddy. Oh, yog dog, I missed you, daddy, huh? I missed you too, buddy. But it's just, I don't know. The people on there, they make me laugh. The only one who I thought was remotely, like, interesting, actually, was that Jimmy D guy. Yeah.
But he was an idiot. Both times he was on, he acted like an idiot. Like, he's too stupid. He says he wants an intelligent girl both times. But then he's too stupid to pick someone who has half of a brain in their head. That chick he picked this time, and the first time, if you'll remember, he was the one who was in the limo with the girl, and she was telling him about the Getty Museum, and we had to rewind it like 18 times to hear how dumb she was. That was him. He picked that airhead, and then he picked Drunky McCrazy Gambler.
Well, and then it's funny because then he finally got it right and picked the good-looking one who had a brain.
Right.
And she kind of liked him. So, I don't know. But even that, if you looked at the ending, they saw each other out on the town, but they didn't actually go on a date. Like,
Right.
What's wrong with this dude?
I don't know.
They have no skills. None.
I feel like when you have that much money and you spend all of your time, like, whimming, you know?
Yeah.
Either the kind of people who are, like, always on a whim, or they're the kind of people who are absolutely married to their work. Both those situations. I feel like it kind of stunts your ability to have a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially the person who's married to their work.
And the people who maybe, I don't know. I can't decide if the married to the work people or the whim people are worse. The whim people seem to be the ones who make more idiotic choices on their dates.
But they're more personable because they're used to interacting.
But they pick airheaded morons who don't have any substance or anything that they're looking for. The ones who are married to their work seem to be a little bit more reasonable at picking dates, but terrible about following up with the dates after they've had the first one.
Yeah.
I guess they all suck.
Maybe that's why my one client had sex scheduled in his calendar.
That's terrifying.
Otherwise, he'd forget. I'm not kidding. I was working on his computer trying to fix a virus, and he had his Outlook open, and then the calendar reminder popped up.
Yikes.
Time for sex. It's like, okay.
They couldn't even come up with like a code name for it?
Nope.
Like Snoo Snoo?
No.
Or something ridiculous?
Snoo Snoo is pretty ridiculous.
Time to eat ice cream? Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because
Like-
nobody would think of anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Ice
come
cream.
on now. Time to stick it in isn't really an appropriate calendar event name. Gosh, Mitchell's getting the cat's high.
Parker's gonna tip over.
He's looking for feisty.
His eyes got really big, and then he like leapt from the windowsill to the couch, and he never does that. Hi, crazy cat. What you doing, mister? Huh? Hi, Mr. Crazy Cat. Hi, buddy. But yeah, I don't know. I personally think that the ones who are married to their job have it worse because they have zero social ability because they're always so busy working, and you don't know how to carry on an intelligent, relaxing conversation. It's all about work.
Ugh. I hear you.
I know when I was a retail manager, we had to work a lot of hours. Like sometimes 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you would go out, you would always go out with other people who also worked for the same company because those are the only people you could meet and become friends with. And then what would you guys do while you were out? Talk about work.
Yeah, I've had a job where all of my friends are work people.
Yeah, it's horrendous. Because you never get away from work. Ever.
That just reminded me of something really, really funny.
Go for it. Because we're going to end early because you're tired and I'm tired.
When I used to work at H&R,
Uh-huh.
we would, me and Katie and the annoying girl Nicole, like we're in the far back corner, and to get to the break room, you'd like walk along one length of the building, and then most of another length of the building, go through like a crazy person proof door, and then you were above the lobby, and then the break room was right there. So one day we were walking, and the three of us.
Proof door.
It is. It is meant to keep people like that crazy shooter guy from coming in and killing all of the people. Anyway, it had a code to come back in. So the three of us walked to the break room, and we looked down, and we saw some dude sitting down there waiting for an interview. And so, okay, a week later, this dude starts in our department, and his name is Michael. And then we make him come for break with us because we liked him and not the other dude that started on the same day. And he said, yeah, I saw you guys when I came in for my interview, and I thought, wow, those are the bitchiest women I've ever seen in my life. Yep, that's what you made me think of just then.
That's funny.
Uh-huh.
That's hilarious. All right.
He said we looked like mean girls.
Well, maybe you were.
No.
I think so.
No.
Yep.
Just Nicole.
No. I think you and Katie. You and Katie were the mean girls. Hi, Mama. Bye, Mama.
Funny.
All right, well. Ooh, she smells like litter box.
That's attractive.
I guess we'll cut it short. You're tired. I'm tired.
It doesn't feel that short.
The house is tired.
Everything is tired. Good night, everyone.
Hasta la bye-bye. Hey, this is Mike, and I just wanted to tell you that if you enjoyed the show, and I truly hope you did, you can subscribe on iTunes or Google Play and not miss a single episode. But if you happened to miss an episode and you didn't find it on Google Play or iTunes for some reason, you could go to our website, which is thenightly.rant.wordpress.com.